Good afternoon, everybody. That was drab. Good afternoon, everybody. It is such a great day here in North Lawndale, the 24th Ward. I am Alderman Michael Scott Jr., and I would like to welcome you all to the Michael Scott Senior event space here at North Lawndale Employment Networks. Thank you, thank you. The North Lawndale Employment Network Workforce Campus, excuse me, that's a mouthful. This is probably my favorite space in the entire city of Chicago, and I'm gonna give you 3 reasons why. The first is the job that they do here. So they meet anybody where they are. If you're underemployed, if you are unemployed, if you are returning citizens, they have a service for you. Job readiness training, and a bevy of other things. And so if you need a job, if you're seeking employment, if you need a hand up and not a handout, come here to North Lawndale Employment Network. The second is they house Wintrust here. Yes. Wintrust Bank is the only full-service brick-and-mortar bank here in North Lawndale, the 24th Ward. And so we're very grateful to Wintrust for their partnership. And the last and most important is the Be Love Cafe. Now, the Be Love Cafe is the retail shop for the best honey in the city of Chicago. So if you have not tasted it, get over there. Give it that. That's right. Best honey in the city of Chicago, and it is my wife's second home. She is the employee of the month, so go check it out. She lives here. So they also have an extraordinary and visionary leader in Brenda Palms Barber. She is a great partner here in the 24th Ward, North Lawndale, and her board, her staff, and herself, in a little less than 2 years, raised $10 million to build this beautiful edifice. So this campus is a down payment for the commitment that they made to North Lawndale, and that is to reduce the employment rate here by 10% by 2025. Now, that took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to raise $10 million in a little over 2 years. But let me tell you the best part of that. The city stepped up in a major way. This administration stepped up in a major way, and our mayor stepped up in a major way and granted $2.5 million, which is the largest single donation and the largest investment from Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. And investment like that does not happen in North Lawndale very often. And so we're very happy and very appreciative of that. And we're appreciative of the signature program that the mayor is bringing here to North Lawndale, and that is Invest Southwest. And it seems as if this entire ward is an Invest Southwest corridor. So we got things popping up on Ogden, we got things popping up on Roosevelt, and it is thanks to that program. I think that this administration, unlike any other administration, invests in infrastructure, especially in the west and south sides, but moreover, invest in people, right? And so that's why we're here today, for an investment in human infrastructure. This partnership that is going to be formed here and throughout the city is going to help our people, west and south sides of the city of Chicago, those who do not have that bridge to the digital divide, meet that bridge. And so I want to bring to you a friend of mine, the mayor of the best city in the whole world, Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
I told Michael that I'm going to move into his basement since I'm on the west side with such frequency. I need a place to actually stay.
You have 3 ones that you got to stay in.
I heard that. I heard that. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. We're here to announce an incredible partnership and investment in our residents' future. A partnership with Microsoft, and a company that understands that in order for us to thrive, we must eliminate the digital divide. And I'm pleased and honored that Microsoft Global President and Vice Chair of the Board of Directors, Brad Smith, has joined us today with this important announcement. Along with Microsoft President of U.S. Enterprise Commercial, Matt Renner, Microsoft Digital Officer Jackie Wright, and civic leader, business icon, Microsoft board member, and a true champion of workforce development, Penny Pritzker. And I also want to thank the many other representatives from companies and organizations who have partnered with us on this incredible initiative. Today is an absolutely phenomenal day for our city. And as I've said multiple times throughout the course of this pandemic, we have an important opportunity to use this moment to better the lives of those who were struggling long before this pandemic ever struck. And I'm proud to say that in these 18 months, many days that were dark and dreary, we did not shy away from the hard work. We did not shy away from the legacy challenges that we've inherited, but we've determined to roll up our sleeves in partnership with people in the community to make this city more equitable, more fair, and so that our residents have a better day tomorrow than they've ever had in their entire lives. And that means we've got to continue working on giving people jobs, funds, and other resources that they need, not just to stay afloat, but to thrive and be able to chase their dreams and pass that optimism and hope on to their children. By doing so, we will empower them and to find long-term stability and prosperity, which will then allow them to start families and contribute to our communities and our economy. So in other words, an investment in the future of our residents is an investment in the future and long-term success of the great city we all call home. It's for that reason and more that I tasked my team in the early days of the pandemic to create an equitable and inclusive recovery plan for our city, not just one that looked at businesses, although that was obviously an important part of it, but to understand across our city and across neighborhoods what were the current state of conditions, the pain points, and what we needed to do to help bring people back up on their feet and be able to march forward into the future. This resulted in the publication of our COVID-19 Recovery Task Force report in April of 2020. In June of 2020, the first report of its kind in the country, which details our pathway out of the pandemic and presents a number of recommendations to accelerate investments, eliminate systemic inequality, and build our region's strengths and more. And as a result of following these recommendations for 2 years, we've racked up a number of accomplishments, all the more impressive because they have come during the pandemic. So, for example, we are seeing signs that our economy is coming roaring back. And this year alone, 135 companies and counting have made a pro-Chicago decision to either open up new businesses here in our city, and many of these are companies that could literally go anywhere in the world, or expand their footprint in Chicago. In our tech sector alone, we have 10 plus unicorns this year to date. And for those of you who are not familiar, that means companies that are valued at $1 billion. $1 billion. So we've got 10 and counting, and we've seen $5 billion in venture capital investments already this year, which has shattered the record that we set last year, which had $2.8 billion in venture capital investments in our tech sector. Our hotels are full. Flights are taking off and landing at pre-pandemic rates at our airports. Our restaurants and our bars have come back. Our arts and culture institutions are roaring back. And we have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country. Why is this so? Why is this happening in this moment in Chicago? A couple of reasons. Because we have one of the most diverse economies in the country, a deep and talented workforce, and a business community that is second to none. And the list goes on and on. But I also want to say this. We are here in this moment, being able to open up. When we opened up in June of this year, we were the largest big city in the country to do so. Why? Because we believe in the science. We believe in the science. We have taken care of our business when it comes to public health. We have partnered with many of the people that are in this room to make sure that we have set up the most equitable vaccine distribution system in the country. Now, we're not done, and there's more work to do. But all of these great things that have happened over the course of this year is because we have come together as a community and said our future is linking arms with our neighbors across this city and marching forward boldly together. That's how we get it done in Chicago. And we are ready today to add to this growing list of accomplishments by making good on another promise outlined in our recovery plan. One that calls upon us to partner with stakeholders, to reimagine our workforce infrastructure, create a plan to invest in our residents who are unemployed or underemployed. And I'm proud to join with Microsoft, the corporate and learning and community leaders here today to announce the launch of Accelerate Chicago, our city's latest upskilling and employment initiative. This program, which aims to reach 300,000 of our residents. Let me say that again, 300,000 of our residents, nearly 10% of our residents, to provide a pathway from skilling up to employment to bridge the digital divides that still plague way too many residents and communities, as well as direct people toward equitable hiring and reemployment opportunities. Doesn't do any good to skill people up if there's not a job waiting for them on the other side. Digital communication has never been more important in the history of the world than it is now. And the pandemic has forced many businesses to shift operations to online and instruct employees on how they can work from home. While we are beginning to see businesses return to ways of working that are familiar to all of us pre-COVID, digital skills remain a critical part of one's ability to even apply for a job, let alone secure one in the first place, and work effectively once they are part of their new team. Expanding access to digital skills is therefore key to our ability to fully recover from this pandemic on both a community and a city level. That's why this new initiative, Accelerate Chicago, was specifically designed to benefit students and service workers with low digital skills. Give those with moderate or high digital skills the additional tools that they need to stay competitive and seize employment opportunities, and ultimately create an ecosystem that provides upskilling, reskilling, and cross-skilling resources for those looking for in-demand jobs and a path that supports their long-term career. It's no coincidence that we're here in North Lawndale, because, folks, we mean to make sure that this initiative brings into the fold Black and brown and underserved communities all across our city. We cannot succeed. We cannot move forward. Our recovery will not be as robust as it should be if we leave anyone behind in any neighborhood. So regardless of the current circumstances, we have an obligation and an opportunity to make sure that we are expanding the net as broad as possible and bringing other people into it. And as I shared with the folks from Microsoft, the city's going to have skin in this game. This can't just be about the business community alone. Yes, we need business partners, and we are grateful for the partnership of Microsoft. But this is why a week ago I proposed a budget for 2022 that it makes $1.9 billion in investments in our residents today and in the future. This is what equitable and inclusive recovery must look like. And that's why I'm so excited that this initiative has come to us in our city. This is the kind of work that is amplified by organizations like North Lawndale Employment Network, which we're at today, a community-based service organization that provides training, coaching, and support, as you heard from Alderman Scott. So I'm deeply grateful to this organization, deeply grateful to Microsoft and every single partner who has dedicated their time and resources to support this. This is our launch. This is our launch, but measure us by what our accomplishments are. Hold us accountable, and I can guarantee you, you're going to see tremendous success that is going to help and enrich the lives of our residents for years and years to come. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Matt Renner from Microsoft to say a few words. Thank you all so much for being here.
And thank you. And I'll start with a thank you to Mayor Lightfoot for not just the commitment to Accelerate Chicago, but also the commitment to equity and inclusion here in Chicago for that perspective. My name is Matt Renner. I'm the president for Enterprise Commercial here in the U.S. for Microsoft, but I've also been an 18-year Chicagoland resident. I am here to stay in the greatest city in the world. So I do want to talk a little bit about Accelerate and touch on some of the key tenets, but I think I should start with, frankly, the mission statement from Microsoft overall, and that is to empower every person and organization on the planet to do more, and basically to achieve more. And Accelerate Chicago flows right into that goal for us. at Microsoft. When I think about the key tenets of Accelerate, it starts with digital skilling. And this is reaching into the areas of the community, whether it's the South, the Southwest, or the West, and folks that don't have that ability to get that skilling today, and to provide that to them going forward, number one. Number two, that feeds into the comment the mayor made around employment. It's not useful unless we can create that connective ecosystem that brings those who are skilled into a job, and working with that to build diverse talent into our tech infrastructure and ecosystem that we have here in Chicago. Third area to focus on is sustainability, and we have a series of partners that we're working with here in Chicago to deliver on that, which is ultimately bringing technology to sustainability as one of our tenets. The fourth is connectivity, and this talks about broadband and digital broadband to areas of the city and folks who do not have that level of connectivity as you go forward. It's great to have these skills, but you need the connectivity to move forward from that perspective. And the last piece is what Microsoft can contribute as well when it comes to facilities. And Microsoft has a presence that's very strong here in the Chicagoland area, from offices out to the west to offices downtown. We have one of our 12 Microsoft technology centers in the U.S. sits in the Aon Tower. It's the entire second floor, over 100,000 square feet of conference rooms, a theater, breakout areas to teach technology and cutting-edge areas for skilling that we could work with the community and take advantage of. And this program will emphasize this. All of this falls apart if we don't have a very strong partner network that we're utilizing here in Chicago. We have dozens of partners that have been jumped to the chance to join Accelerate Chicago. I will mention a few. The Quilt Corporation, Clio, ChangeX Chicago, MXD, P33, North Lawndale was a great example here, and we appreciate hosting today. Also, Common Ground is one more, but there's a series of other partners that are there from that perspective. So again, the combination of the commitment, the tenets of this effort, coupled with our partnership, is going to ultimately be measured on our success and as we measure it going forward, as the mayor said. So that's a framework, and we're going to get a lot deeper into some of the aspects of what we're trying to accomplish with a fantastic panel that I get the opportunity to introduce here next. And the mayor is joining us on this panel, and as she had mentioned earlier, I'm going to talk first about the person who's going to preside over it, and that is someone who does not need a very deep introduction here in the city of Chicago, and that's Penny Pritzker. And Penny Pritzker has had an incredible 30-year career in Chicago, always giving back to the community, from entrepreneurship, as a civic servant, ultimately as well as a philanthropist, and a long history of that, which has been absolutely amazing. When we look at some more background on Penny, she's the founder and chairwoman of PSP Partners. She served as the 38th Secretary of Commerce for the United States under President Barack Obama. And in that capacity, she had an incredible impact on workforce skilling, broadband coverage, including to underserved and rural communities. She developed the first digital and data agenda for the office, and she chaired the PAGE program. In addition to that, Penny is also on the board of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. I use the Scottish pronouncing of that name just for fun. I do know how to. and she's the co-chair for the Cyber Readiness Institute. Penny and her husband, Dr. Brian Traubert, also have co-founded the Pritzker Traubert Foundation, which is a private foundation that is ultimately helping folks in the city who could use financial assistance for different capacities. Just recently, Penny was also asked by the Biden administration to join the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology with 30 other individuals. So one more time being reached out to work with Penny. And by the way, the last thing I will mention, she is our favorite board member at Microsoft. So I will say that. So thank you, Penny, for moderating. I will touch on the other participants. As the mayor mentioned, we do have our vice chair and president, Brad Smith, with us. And Brad has been with Microsoft since 1993, which is pretty amazing, the impact he has had on our company throughout that stretch, not just internally but externally, one of the strong voices in technology for a lot of what we'll talk about today. We also have Jackie Wright, who's a teammate of mine. She's our Chief Digital Officer here in the U.S. She also is, outside of just that, she is a tremendous champion for everything from social equity to justice to health and, frankly, education within Microsoft. So a huge, huge partner for us there. Two other individuals that'll join us. I'll start with Sandy Castrol, and Sandy is the president and co-founder of IC Stars. And IC Stars is a 20-year relationship with us here at Microsoft, making the connection between individuals who could use tech skilling in the youth and other areas from that perspective. And my last stop, will be with Stephen. You thought you'd get away. Stephen Preston is the CEO and president of Goodwill Industries nationally. And if you understand Goodwill and their mission statement and what they're trying to accomplish, fits very well. And we love for you to participate today. So that's it for me. I do want to thank you again from a local Chicago resident that is super excited about this. I couldn't be more excited about getting this launched and watching this thing grow. So I'm going to hand it to the very capable hands of Penny, who will moderate this next panel. So thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for being here and for all of your support of Chicago and for helping us with this extraordinary initiative. We're really thrilled to have one of our own here and helping us move this forward. As many of you know, the issues of skilling and training and supporting those who need more assistance to thrive is something that I've been passionate about for decades. And so it's really exciting to be here, Brad, with you and with the mayor and our panelists to be able to really talk more about that. You know, fundamentally, we know something. Talent is universal, but access to opportunity is not. And one of the great things that you know, I respect you, Mayor, is you know that, and you put your both budget and the weight of your office behind trying to improve that situation and helping more and more people find new ladders of opportunity, and we're all grateful for that. We have a terrific panel, so I'm going to dive right in, if you will. Mayor, let me begin with you. You know, technology can be a great equalizer, as you know. Both from an economic and from a social perspective. But only if we have the right community investments. It's not just making an investment, but we have to make the right investments. You have a vision about promoting equity and inclusion and inclusive economic growth in communities all across our city, increasing opportunities for all of our residents. When you think about the future of Chicago, what do you see as the biggest opportunities, and how can technology make that happen?
Well, I think that really when you think about any opportunity in our city, technology is at the core of it. There's not one industry where there are good jobs that isn't impacted by technology in some form or fashion. Whether it's traditional pure tech, whether it's fintech, whether it's, we have a huge thriving food and agriculture business industry in our city, that's also impacted. So literally everything that I can think about, which are the jobs of today or the jobs of tomorrow, there is a technology component that runs through it. And that means if you want to get something that is a good paying job, that can sustain your future, that you can grow a family, you've got to have some of that core skills. So one of the things that I know is important is we've got to get people comfortable with the technology. You look at little kids, they're so nimble and with every little bit of technology you throw at them, but not so once they start to get older. And the generation that we're in now is challenged. And let me give you one recent example. When we had to go to all online learning for CPS, we spent a lot of resources getting devices in the hands of our students and their families. But if you got a device, whether it's a tablet or a PC or a laptop, without that connectivity and without the skills to know how to use them, it's just a piece of hardware that's meaningless. So we spent $50 million on a program called Chicago Connects to do a number of things. Not only get the hardware in people's hands, but also get them Wi-Fi and broadband connectivity, but then also what we figured out is we really needed to get the adults in the household and the children comfortable with using that technology. You have to have all three pieces that work together. And we're still scaling that up, and it was more of a challenge than I would have ever imagined, but it taught us something about what we need to do to be thinking about the jobs of the future. So I still see that as a lot of low-hanging fruit, real opportunities there, and I think this new initiative is really going to help kickstart that it's shrinking. I don't want to just shrink it. I want to get rid of the digital divide. There should be a basic level of digital literacy for every one of our residents, and we got to bake that obviously into all of our school systems across the city.
Thank you, and I encourage you, if any of you want to make follow-on comments, just let me know and I'll call on you. Brad, you know, you work a lot across the public, the private, and nonprofit sectors, and that can be a powerful tool to address society's most pressing challenges, that kind of partnership. As Microsoft deepens its commitment to the city of Chicago, can you discuss the importance of bringing together a coalition of leaders from business and startup communities, from academia, from nonprofits, to increase access to digital skills and unlock the opportunities and the new economic opportunities available if someone is well skilled?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Penny, and I think that is one of the real questions of the day. And I think the mayor addressed some of this just even in your opening remarks about why we need to bring people together. Yeah, I would start with the sort of obvious opportunity and challenge ahead of us. We're all going to need to learn new things in the decade ahead. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing, but especially in a world where, as you said, talent is distributed more evenly than opportunity. We have a special chance ahead to bring these skills to people who will benefit from them the most, especially in, say, this community and across the south and west sides of Chicago. But no one can do it alone. And I think the real key, as your question suggests, Penny, is that we all have to figure out what we do best and then how we work together. Now, one of the interesting things about this problem is that when we're thinking about digital skills, it turns out that you can use digital technology to help deliver digital skills. And this is probably the area that Microsoft is able to do best. In fact, we're probably the company in the world today that does that most at scale. Last year, we had a global skilling program that reached more than 44 million people literally around the world in less than 12 months. So when I hear a number like 300,000, I both know how much work it will take, and I know that if we do it right, we can do it well, and we will. What we've learned is that there's a process that you can bring to bear. It starts by asking people, what is it that they want to do with their lives? What kind of job do they want to pursue? What kind of promotion do they want to seek for themselves? And then we're able to take that insight and show people the skills they need to master in order to pursue that future. And the greatest asset that Microsoft really has in this regard is the fact that Microsoft owns and operates LinkedIn, which is really the world's largest platform for all of this. And so once people are able to identify the skills, they can then start to take the courses online. And then in the world today, it's not enough actually just to take a course. You need to pass a test or get some kind of credential so that the world knows that you have acquired this skill. And this is an area of huge innovation, but it's an area where we're helping to spur innovation by advancing a new generation of credentials, not just ourselves, but in partnerships with schools and community colleges and the like. And then, of course, once people have those credentials, they're almost to where they really want to go, which is to find oftentimes a new job. And so we have to help people connect with the jobs and with the employers and ensure that that cycle can be completed. And then frankly, for many people, it will happen again on a repeated basis throughout their lives. But it's a recipe that works, and we've seen it work, in Chicago and around the world. But the other part of this is that there's a last mile for skilling, just as people sometimes talk about a last mile for broadband. Well, what's the last mile for skilling? It turns out that people need to finish what they start. And you just think about the world in which we live. I bet we all have bought more books than we've read. We've started more books than we've finished.
Don't tell anybody.
Yes. But the same is true with skilling. And you know what makes the difference? You know what helps people finish what they start? It's the nonprofits, like IC Stars, like Goodwill Industries, like the great community colleges and the schools. It's the mentors and the tutors and the advisors, and sometimes it's the friends and family members that make a critical difference in people's lives. And that's why, as much as we love technology at a company like Microsoft, we know this is not a problem that can be solved by technology alone, hence your question, Penny. And it's also, frankly, why investment, and it is an investment of the sort that the mayor described, is indispensable to the future. The cities that invest not only in reimagining, but reinvesting in their people are the cities that are going to flourish. They are the cities that are not only going to create jobs, but fill them with the local community residents, including right here on the west side and south side of Chicago. So part of what brought us here today is Penny Pritzker. When Penny has a good idea, I've found it's never a mistake to act on it. Part of what has brought us here is just this enthusiasm about what we believe this approach can bring. But the third thing that brought us here is Chicago itself. You know, this is a city where numbers like 1871 and 1933 are not only references to a proud past, but they are beacons to an exciting future. And we're excited about where the mayor is taking the city. We're excited about where the business community is helping to take everyone here, and we want to be a part of it. Great. So this is the first day in a lot of days of work that will be hard, but work that we believe will make a difference for the people who live here. Thank you for giving us the chance to be a part of it.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Jackie, as a follow-up, we saw a rapid transformation across all our industries in response to COVID-19. And as digital capabilities progress, we know that the digital skills of a local community have to also keep pace. So I have sort of a two-part question for you. What specific role do you see businesses playing in addressing the skills gap, not only in response to their own workforce needs, but part of the larger responsibility to the community in which they're in and to society as a whole? And can business really partner effectively with the public and nonprofit sectors?
Yeah, great question, Penny. And a thriving business community should equate to a thriving local economy. Yes. And so for businesses, critical skills, digital skills is imperative for their success. So when you think about the businesses, when you think about the partnerships that are needed, there are a few key things here that we need to think about. There have been systemic and cultural barriers to entry. And we all know what those things are. And so the question is, how do we assure that the community itself will thrive and we remove those barriers? Businesses have an accountability. And so businesses in partnership with not-for-profits, with academia, with startups, need to look at what are those systemic barriers that we need to remove? How do we create those wraparound services, the conditions to be able to thrive in a community? And then how do you match that up with the skills that are required to meet the needs of the employment market? So businesses really have to start by saying, these are the skills we need. We identify them, we know what those skills are. We have learners, we have partnerships with Microsoft and not-for-profits and learners to really engage and create those skilling pathways. We look at what are those wraparound services needed, the barriers to entry, and how do we ensure that we as businesses are removing those barriers, and then create the pathways to employment and looking at the jobs. And that transcends all types of jobs. Mir talked about it. When you think about digital skills today, it transcends coding. It is about whether you're a field service technician, right, whether you're a health clinician, whether you're in the manufacturing job on the shop floor. All of those things are now digitally enabled. And so the bare minimum to get in requires digital skilling. And then, how do you make sure the community is benefiting from that? Businesses have a responsibility to ensure that the community thrives as part of that. And that ecosystem really works. A thriving local business community, thriving local economy, economic empowerment and development, and economic mobility for all. This really is about bridging that digital divide.
Stitching it together, Stephen. I want to zero in on the importance of the coalition of partners that are needed, I think, to really drive the impact and stitch together what's being referred to here. Goodwill Industries has this extraordinary long history of providing job training and career advancement support and supporting a skilled workforce on our most, which is our most critical asset. From the perspective of the nonprofit community, why are partnerships like this one with Microsoft so important? What do they bring to the table for you as you're trying to do the work, in that last mile, if you will?
Yeah, that's a great question. And just to reiterate, sort of on an introductory basis, the reason you might be wondering why I used clothing retailers here, but our mission is to help people reach their full potential through learning and the power of work. And it's been our mission for 120 years. And we have workforce development centers like this all across the country. So we love it when you shop at our stores, but this is really where our mission is advanced. So as everyone who is affiliated with this center knows, or works in this center, is the business community dramatically expands the ecosystem and the leverage that we can deliver as nonprofit providers. We can put people in a center like this and develop relationships and kind of provide support. But first of all, the private sector provides the vast majority of the jobs. So we need partnerships with people that are actually doing the hiring. What does that mean? We need to be relevant to those hirers and make sure that the skills that we provide people with turn into real jobs. And as Jackie alluded to, digital is absolutely a gateway skill anymore. When we give digital skills, it's not because people are getting technology jobs. It's because they need a job, and almost all jobs need technology. In addition, the generosity of the corporate sector is critically important for nonprofits. It helps us hire those career coaches. Brad, I'm so happy that you mentioned that. The human element in this is so important to couple with the digital element. It helps us pay for buildings like this. It helps us pay for technology. We've also found, though, and I think this is probably one of the most exciting things that certainly I've experienced in the past couple of years about the corporate sector, is that increasingly, as corporations like Microsoft become more and more engaged in doing the work in their communities, their people actually come into our teams and help us with our technology problems. They provide us with equipment. They help us leverage their network, whether it's actually taking over some of our business activities. And corporations, I think this ecosystem issue, corporations are becoming much more creative and much more expansive in how they envision their partnering with us. And so this is very much of an area of expanded focus for Goodwill, and I think it will truly benefit. We have over 1 million people that come through our doors every year for workforce development. We place hundreds of thousands of people in jobs. And so this is going to be critically important for us, not only to be relevant and provide people with the right skills, but to be able to get them into jobs and to be able to expand the number of people that we can serve.
And I want to add, there's your point. There is it, exactly. The ecosystem that we're creating with Accelerate Chicago is all about that. Goodwill, startups, corporations, business community together will create this ecosystem where we will all make sure that the pathway to learning, the pathway to skilling, the pathway to jobs exists in an ecosystem.
Penny, can I make one more point?
Yes.
Even before COVID, there were over 7 million unfilled jobs in our country, and more people that were unemployed, underemployed, or sitting on the sideline. Today, there are between 10 and 11 million unfilled jobs. Now, we know we're in kind of this weird job crunch right now. New jobs are being created that are good jobs. Any economist looking to the future is saying the new jobs that are being created will be higher paying, higher skilled. Now, that provides us all with both an opportunity and a risk. It is an enormous risk if people can't get the skills to compete for the jobs that we're creating in our economy. But it's also an amazing opportunity. And if we can create these pathways and we can provide people with the support they need to do that, the opportunity is enormous for people in our communities, for the communities themselves, for competitiveness for our employers. And so we have to realize that this is not only a moment in time today, but the future of work continues to accelerate. It accelerated through COVID, and this is an issue that, as a country, we have to address for the benefit of our entire population.
Thank you. Well, speaking of the glue and the last mile, Sandy, you know, we know every great community has great local nonprofits with feet on the ground, and that's certainly one we know that IC Stars is. And you know how key skilling is. What are some of the issues that we need to keep in mind as we implement this important work? As you've got your feet on the ground and your feelers out in the community, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What do we need to keep in mind?
Yeah, thank you. So at IC Stars, we find talent, we train talent, and put talent to work in IT careers. And we're teaching folks how to be programmers and then work in the IT community. And I think the first thing is that the shift from being a consumer of technology to being a maker, I think that is social justice. And that technology affords us the ability to be makers, to build the solutions, and to solve the problems for our businesses. And it can also help us solve the problems in our communities. So if we teach people how to be systems thinkers and support our businesses and our communities, we're doing a little bit more than skilling up. But that takes a village. Right? So at IC Stars, every cohort has a different Fortune 500 company that they work with. They give us a business problem, and our cohort is divided up into 4 teams. They form their own consulting companies, and then they're competing for this bid. So it's super cool, but it wouldn't work without our partners in the business community that make it relevant and that make it real. And so the point about how important the skills are is absolutely right, but what's the wrapper around those skills? How do we make them relevant? And I think that's where the business community can really step in as volunteers, as sponsors, and most importantly as employers. So there's a lot of great talent that's coming out of Chicago in organizations like IC Stars that are training technology folks, and we're just looking for that connection to employers. There's 500,000 technology jobs that have gone unfilled, and there's all this great talent in our backyard. And I think organizations like IC Stars and Year Up and Perscolis are doing this great work to connect those dots.
Thank you, thank you. Well, first of all, this is a fabulous panel. I don't know about you, but I've learned a lot from each and every perspective here. I'm now going to turn this over to a woman who does not need any introduction in this community, Brenda Palms Barber, quite the leader, and we're grateful for all of your great work.
What'd y'all think? Pretty good? Very informative to have some of the most important national thought leaders gathered on the west side of Chicago, here at the North Lawndale Employment Network, to talk about the importance of digital education and how important it is to empower communities. When you empower communities with what we all agree is important around basic skills, whether it's your career or just the ability to get a good job, is what we're all about today. And I just want to thank you, Penny Pritzker, because I've been a long time friend and fan. I'm also here representing the North Lawndale Community Coordinating Council, for which was, we brag about this all the time, we were a finalist of the Pritzker-Traubert Prize. We were pleased to be able to be one of 6 organizations, of which a wonderful contribution from your foundation was made for us to have this building, in addition to the wonderful investment that the city of Chicago has made. Empowering the workforce of today and tomorrow with the skills that they need to earn family-supporting wages is what we're here to do collectively. And this digital skilling of our workforce, especially in communities that are underserved like ours, will be the change that people need in order to have a quality and improved quality of life. And that's what makes us so proud and pleased to become a part of this Microsoft family. The other is that job seekers, like those that we serve here at North Lawndale, roughly 2,500 people annually a year. The key for us is that they just simply want access. We've talked about pathways, but they need access to the kinds of resources and support that this Accelerate Chicago initiative is all about. So I often tell my staff, I'm so excited I'm going to do cartwheels, but I will spare you that visually right now. But in fact, we are excited to do this work with you and to partner with you because honestly, people don't want to be poor. People, I've learned that it's expensive to be poor. And the price of poverty, it manifests itself in ways that we see all the time. Deborah Wesley talks about the healthcare disparities that we experience. We see the high rate of violence and crime in communities. And we think that if we just, stop the shooting, that that's the answer. And in fact, you guys, it's what we're talking about today. Equipping people with the basic skills that they need in order to have competitive jobs, to compete for jobs that will be competitive, that they can compete for, and that will also support their families. So let's keep it real. This is what we're trying to do. This is the kind of community that will benefit from having the resources available through this exciting partnership with the city and Microsoft. I also, you know how you meet folk and you feel like you've known them a long time? I have been so embraced by all of the wonderful people, of course from the city, whom I have a great deal of respect for. But Microsoft, y'all brought it. Let me just say, these guys are amazing. I, in particular, and I'm going to look at my notes because I don't want to mess up here at all. But Brad, thank you. You're kind and smart, and you guys do know I'm from Tacoma, Washington. So I'm all. They were like, yes, I'm from Tacoma, and I'm very proud of the fact that's where, in Seattle, is where Microsoft is headquartered. But under your leadership, Brad, it's impressive to see the worker bees that you've surrounded yourself with. I have been very taken by meeting Daryl Booker and Ramil Mitchell and Donna Woodle and Tyler. I saw Tyler in the back somewhere. There you are. There's so many wonderful people that make up your team. And I use the analogy of bees because you do know that we're really into bees around here, into honeybees. And so I just want to say thank you for your leadership and that I've been deeply touched by your mission. And I will say that the mission at Microsoft is empowering every organization, and I'm going to add the word, and every individual to achieve more. That's it. I love that. Empowering every organization and every individual to achieve more. Did I get it right?
Close enough.
Oh, close enough? Close enough. All right.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thanks. So with that, it's an honor to be in partnership with you as we work together to improve the quality of life for those seeking economic mobility and understanding that digital education is fundamental. It's a fundamental baseline for job readiness for every job, for every sector. And so on behalf of the best alderman in the whole city of Chicago, Alderman Michael Scott Jr., the North Lawndale Community Coordinating Council, and all of us at the North Lawndale Employment Network and Sweet Beginnings, it has been a pleasure to host you this afternoon. So please join me in our Beloved Cafe, where you will have the best biscuits on the west side of Chicago. But more importantly, we're also celebrating a very beloved friend. Her birthday is tomorrow, and that's Deborah. If you'll stand up, Deborah. So with Sinai Chicago. So we have cupcake. Actually, we don't have cupcake. We have a cake for you, and coffee. We just want you to enjoy, and just know that the refreshments are actually on behalf of Microsoft. So thank you for investing in our community. All right. So with that, I will say thank you. Please, everyone, head to the cafe, and then for media, you're welcome to stay behind. I believe, if we're still on track, that the mayor will take some questions from the media briefly.
We have a quick sign-in too to take place.
Oh, we have a signing.
Yes.
Terrific. Thank you. I love the way you.
But sweet memorialization of the commitment that we're making to each other on behalf of the residents of our great city.
If anybody is leaving the room, we can go ahead and have you guys depart right now, and then otherwise stay if you want to. Yep, there's a cafe right out, right? We can exit out right out front.
I'll let the room clear. Before we begin, let me just say briefly, I learned while we were here that there was a state trooper that was shot on the Dan Ryan on the south side. The details are limited at this point, but the investigation obviously is well underway. I will just say let's pray for the trooper who's been taken to a local hospital in grave condition. Let me also just say this, that we are still in the throes of the fallout of the pandemic. And many of the institutions that we rely upon to make sure that our communities and individuals are stable and that they're able to thrive are still coming back from pre-COVID levels. And I think that's a result of one of the underlying issues with the uptick in violence that we've seen in 2020 and 2021. But let me also say this, nonetheless. I believe in accountability. There are people in our community who truly believe that they are accountable to no one. They are brazen. They are reckless. They clearly have no regard for the sanctity of life. And we cannot stand by and have them continue to wreak havoc. We had 2 grave shootings this week, and today is the 3rd, where what we see is individuals acting in a way that has no regard for any of the rest of us. We must do everything possible to bring these people to justice. This can't just be on the police department, although they are working hard and they've got good leads in both instances that happened earlier this week, and I hope that we will be announcing charges shortly in one. But it's got to be on all of us. The brazenness that we're seeing, the lack of accountability, means that we have not done enough to hold these individuals accountable. We're going to do our part as a city. We're continuing to do our part. Our police officers are working their tails off. They're clearing more crimes this year than they have in over 10 years, and particularly when it comes to homicides, they've solved more already than in the last 10 years. But it also takes community, and it also takes our county partners. We're going to find the individuals who are responsible for these crimes. We're going to build the cases to make sure that they're prosecuted. But we need to have the county step up and do its part to make sure that they're held accountable. And that starts with dangerous people who are recklessly endangering the lives and taking the lives of our residents have to be held in jail. They must be. What we saw this week is, if that's not a danger to the community, if that is not a wanton disregard for the safety of others, I don't know what is. So we've got to roll up our sleeves, all of us, working together in concert. The city, the courts, the prosecutors, the jails. But we've got to hold people accountable. And what began as, I think, the right instinct back in COVID, which is deep in compressing our jails because we did not want to accelerate the spread of COVID. Now we have people who are charged with serious crimes, who have long criminal histories, that are out on our street and wreaking havoc, unfortunately, every single day. They must be locked up. They must be locked up, because without that, there is no accountability. If there is not fear of accountability, there is chaos. And we're seeing that manifest itself every single day. So I'm going to keep working with our county partners. I'm going to keep working with other stakeholders on the ground. But there must be accountability in this city, or we are going to all be the worse off for it. So please, everyone, pray for the victims. Pray for the trooper today. But also give no shelter to the people who are causing harm. And when we find them, we must lock them up, and they must pay for their crimes. Happy to take your questions now.
Thank you very much, Mayor. We're going to kick off this Q&A session with Mary Ann Ahern. 2 questions per reporters, please.
Mayor,
Yes.
an update, please, on the vaccine mandate. Now it appears that there will be a testing option. Can you give us more details on what that means?
Well, we are still in the midst of discussions with our colleagues in organized labor. So the final ink on a deal has not been drafted. I'm hoping we get to that point. But primarily, we cannot maximize the safety of our workplaces without people being fully vaccinated. That is that's my goal. So October 15th is real. We'll be announcing more developments next week, but we've got to get people vaccinated. When I look at the numbers that I see every single day, and when we get the update of the risk that the unvaccinated are taking of getting sick, very sick, going to the hospital, and worse, dying, it's a staggering reality. And I recognize that people are still reluctant. They're still on the fence. But the one thing that I know is the vaccine is safe, it is widely available, and it is life-saving. So we've got to keep pushing that message, and I hope our partners in organized labor are doing that with their members. We've seen a host of businesses, other governmental entities that have also imposed a mandate for a vaccinated workforce. We're not going to retreat from that. We want to make sure that our workplaces are safe as possible for those who are coming to work every day, and the only way that we can do that is by getting people vaccinated.
The Fraternal of Police, you did meet with them this week. They seem to be saying today from their social media, they see this as a win, that they do not have to be vaccinated.
No, they have to be vaccinated. Every employee in the city of Chicago has to be vaccinated. Now, I haven't gotten a full readout from the meeting today, but it's foolish when we have buried 4 police officers who have died of COVID. We just last week memorialized their stars at police public safety headquarters. Seeing the grief of those families who are devastated by the loss of their loved ones. The fact that we know that the #1 cause of death in 2020 of law enforcement was COVID-19, nothing else. When in this city, we have people that are in hospitals, in ICU rooms, clinging to life. And many of them are law enforcement officers who are unvaccinated. It's foolish to be trying to take a victory lap when so much is at stake. But unfortunately, that's in keeping with the leadership of this Fraternal Order of Police. They will be vaccinated.
Pascal,
Yes, sir.
Pascal Black Club.
Thank you. Always nice to see you on the West Side, Mayor. Follow up on the vaccine mandate. I wanted to ask, why have some city employees been told in emails from the city that they can get tested if they don't meet the vaccine deadline? And I'm also curious, why was this not publicly shared? Oh,
it obviously was publicly shared because you have it. When we send a mass communication to our employees, we assume that it's going to be publicly shared, and of course it has been. But look, what we are trying to do is, A, educate our workforce about what the process is going to be, update them on the discussions. We just sent a citywide email yesterday reminding folks that if they're intending to be fully vaccinated and meet the deadline of October 15, but today is their last day to get the second shot or the first shot of Johnson & Johnson, if that is their preference. So what we're trying to do is keep our workforce fully up to date as we proceed, but the vaccine mandate is real. We have to get people vaccinated. What I hear from folks who are not as vocal as the small percentage that are anti-vax is that they don't feel safe in the workplace without their coworkers being vaccinated, and that is real.
Why has that kind of been shared with some employees and not with others? We've heard from some city employees who haven't gotten any notice that there is kind of the testing option.
No, all employees are getting the same information at the same time. For example, as I mentioned, the email that went out yesterday went to the entire citywide workforce. If there's someone who hasn't, they should talk to their supervisor, their commissioner, but all information should be shared. I think what you're referring to is, obviously, we're continuing to have discussions with leaders of the unions representing the employees, but those communications themselves, we're not relying upon just the union leadership. We're talking directly to our employees, as we have a responsibility to do. So we will keep them updated when we get to the final stages of the discussions.
All right, last report of the day, Craig Wall, ABC 7.
Mayor, I guess I'm not clear. I don't think all employees of the city are necessarily union. Is there anyone who could be fired October 15th if they aren't vaccinated?
Well, here's what the requirement of October 15th is. We set up a portal that went live, I believe, late last week, that allow people to upload their information about what their vaccine status is. That gets updated on a regular basis, and people can upload their information. We're sending out close to real time to every city commissioner who in their workforce has already responded and has uploaded their information. So they have lists, obviously, that they know who their employees are and checking off the folks that have loaded it. So there's a responsibility by October 15th, which has been communicated to every single employee, and we will continue to update them. We want to make sure that people are given every opportunity to comply with the mandate before October 15th. And obviously, if that doesn't happen, then there will be further steps that are taken. But my focus and our focus right now is on educating our workforce, making sure that we give every opportunity for the workers to get vaccinated and to provide proof of vaccination as required by the Department of Human Resources.
Follow up to that, I can tie it in with the other question, but do you have a percentage of how many city workers have actually either gotten vaccinated or let the city know they are vaccinated? And are you saying that as of October 15th, people are not going to be fired? It sounds like there's some wiggle room.
No, what I'm saying is there will be consequences if people are not complying with what the policy is by October 15th. Yes, of course.
Can you say what those
as I said at the beginning, I believe in accountability. So again, I don't want to go there yet, and I'm hoping that we don't ever have to go there. I'm hoping that people will abide by the policy. And you asked for specific statistics. I don't have them at my fingertips, so we can get those to you. I don't want to guess. I don't have. This is literally shifting every single day as more and more people are getting vaccinated. We're hearing from unions that their folks are getting vaccinated, even people that were saying, never me. They're coming off the wall and getting themselves vaccinated. But we can get you the specific information. I don't want to speculate because I don't have up-to-date information at my fingertips.
Thank you very much, man. That's a wrap. Thank you, everyone. Have a great one.
I'm sorry?
Do you think it's less than 20%?
I don't want to speculate, but I feel like we're moving in the right direction, but I don't have the percentages right at my fingertips. Thank you.